It was not the idea of a bunch of young people. Okay? There was a gentleman by the name of Fred July. You gotta give him credit.
Yes, sir.
Fred July had the vision of some kind of celebration to mark our influence or our presence here in the community of Gala. You had the Wine and Harvest Festival. You had the Cinco de Mayo, but there was nothing for Philippines. So it was in his heart and in his mind about something to do with Philippine culture. Okay, well, it was about, he'd made promises in the newspaper of an event that was going to happen in the last weekend of July. And he was, maybe 8 weeks prior to that, he had an article printed in the Gala Record. And of course, if he was printed in the Gala Record, it's as good as an actuality. Well, in reality, there was no mechanism for making the event happen. If you can imagine a drawing board like they do for movies, you know, here's how the movie's supposed to look, but then you gotta cast the cast, bring the equipment, find the location, and do everything else to complete the movie. It's not a pencil drawing on a piece of paper, which at this point, 8 weeks prior to the event, it was simply an idea. And that's where Roger Galliano steps in. Roger had been at with Fred Delay. Fred Delay kind of took him under his wing and shared his vision. But then here it was, 2 months later, before the event, and I got this frantic phone call. Alex, Fred has got us done in it. I go, what do you mean? He made a promise that something's going to happen in July, and he's got nothing in place. So he said, I need to bring you, people that I know and trust, to get together. And there was a whole bunch of us. I come from college. There's a bunch of high school kids led by Max and Sarah and his UFW. It's a very brand new organization at that point. And we kind of Herb Deludy was here on a sabbatical from college, and he helped start the league. And when I came on board, I kind of helped Herb. But here it was in June, and Roger says, we need to mobilize. And he created something called the Vanguard Task Force. Roger, you have to understand, Roger was a platoon sergeant in Vietnam. And he was kind of like our platoon sergeant. We had a mission to accomplish, and I need your help. And so, Max Becerra, myself, Herb Deludy, Eddie Cristobal back there. I'm going to miss a bunch of people's names, and hopefully one of these days we can get everybody's name listed, because Max and I were kind of racking our brains about, you know, did we forget somebody? I mean, the Mina family was represented. The Arroyos were very helpful to us. They gave us their house a lot of times to conduct meetings. There was the Mrs. Eubank. Bless her heart. She was a school teacher, and she made us accountable. We were just a bunch of young kids doing something. She was the self-appointed auditor of all the events going on. And I mean, we were just talking about our dinner table. Roger needed money fast in order to start this up. So he came up with this notion of holding a social box over at the Pius X Youth Hall adjacent to Our Lady of Guadalupe Church. And at first, I remember telling the story just now, I said, at first I was kind of hesitant, that's kind of old school. Social box? This is where men would put some money in a box and dance with the girl. I go, man. I go, isn't that called prostitution? He insisted that it was a tradition in the Philippines. I said, okay, we'll go with it. And lo and behold, we held the first Philippine Weekend Queen competition as a social box. And I think it was Linda the Healy was won the whole thing. Out of that, Roger got a girlfriend, Florida Heaton, so he recruited her. So we're on our way, and from there we organized an all Filipino band. I think Napoleon Becerra was in charge of that. The basketball tournament, which was critical, because actually the basketball tournament was going to draw people from around the state. And he did. And I want to mention Gary Romeo. Some of you guys might remember Gary Romeo. At that time, he was the Parks and Recreation Director, a good friend of Fred Dulai, and a good friend of the Filipino community. I really want to put his name out there because without him, the Philippine Athletic League or Philippine Weekend never would have happened. He was very instrumental in convincing then city manager Tish Copeland, remember that? Remember Tish Copeland? Right? He convinced him to kind of, hey, let's let these Filipinos do this thing. Okay? And without their guidance, this thing never would have happened. But what we brought was a lot of energy. We knew nothing about community organizing. We just wanted to play basketball. We wanted a lechon barbecue like you guys had here. My mom and a bunch of the ladies helped organize the first lechon barbecue. They actually went out early at Cecil Avenue Park, dug out one of the horseshoe pits, and actually cooked the pig. And on the north side of Cecil Avenue Park. We even, for the booths, we set up little nipa huts. Okay? We did that. Roger was very instrumental in putting that together. So, it was a kind of heady time in our lives. We're all brand new to this. But you know what? First and foremost, though, I don't think we started anything. I think we were standing on the shoulders of our parents, right? We were standing on the shoulders of Mr. and Mrs. Severino Galliano, who had H&D Market. We were standing on the shoulders of Elizabeth and Benny Ortiz, who gave us a lot of moral support. We stood on the shoulders of Fred and Merle Velasco, on the shoulders of Mr. and Mrs. Cala. All these families, we were standing on the shoulders of them. They were actually the pioneers, the heroes in this community. Let's not forget them. Sorry, I got emotional there. But when you're Filipino, you talk about your mom. Okay? I want to introduce Roger Galliano, okay? Pound for pound, he's probably the toughest guy in town. Or is it inch for inch? I don't know. Don't let his size fool you. The guy can kick ass. So Roger Galliano, can you come up here and fill in the rest of the story?
All right, thank you for those kind words. And before Roger's come, Alex, we want you to come back really quick. So, on behalf of Filipino Weekend and as a Filipino community resident of Delano, I'm going to turn this over to Delightus. We have a special award to present to you and as well as Roger.
Thank you, Jay. On behalf of the 2014 Philippine Weekend Committee, we want to take this opportunity at this gala to honor the Vanguard Task Force. And this was new to me until Max brought it to our attention. I had no idea who that was. But you guys are the ones that were inspirational in doing this. And on behalf of our committee, we want to present this certificate to you, Alex, and everyone will be getting one, and they all say the same thing. Vanguard Task Force, the founding organizers behind Philippine Weekend Celebration and Filipino Athletic League, for exemplary service to the community of Delano, the continued awareness of our Filipino culture and heritage, and the long-term unity of our kabayans here and abroad. So on behalf of our Philippine Weekend Committee, we thank you and honor you this evening. before I let you talk, Roger, I'm going to give you your certificate also. It says the same thing that Alex said, and this is your night, the Vanguard Task Force.